from confronting the police. In actually the letter produced by police today, it does point to violence from NUP supporters. Professor Lubogo, I want to bring you in here. Is it possible that politicians sometimes incite the police? Are there any such cases?
Incredible, because you see, if we argue it that way, then we are losing the debate from the word go. Listen, here is an individual who is walking away from a party, and for whatever reason, he chooses to go, back his way. Okay. We are moving under the assumption that the police is saying, because we are suspecting or we are, worried that something oblivious or something unconstitutional is likely to happen, you are required to take another way. What are the provisions of the law? The police has mandate by virtue of the Police Act, Cap 303, and by virtue of, Section 36 and Section 26. But even in the pursuance of doing so, they should do that in lieu with reasonableness, with you with common sense, with you with efficiency, and with the fact that they are doing it without any suspicion. Because when you argue the case of Mwanga Chivumbi versus Attorney General, which was the constitutional petition of 2015, it said that police should exercise their mandate, but not in regards to what they call anticipatory threats. So if you are assuming that Bobi Wine's movement from place A to place B is likely to arouse or cause a riot or whatever, without probable cause or without substantive evidence, then you are losing the case from the word go. Even if we argue, and I would argue and say that there are provisions of the law. The Constitution is very clear that the police is mandated to do their job, but as they do that, they should do it in resonance or in occurrence with other provisions of the law. I know we're talking about a a derogable right, which has limitations. But these limitations are subjective. And that is the problem. The problem is that here are individuals who are given a spoonful of authority and they misuse them for a drumful of authority to the detriment of the innocent, unsuspecting civilians. Right. If this can happen to people like Chagulanyi, to people like Chiza Besigye, to people like Mama Mbabazi, how about you and I, the ordinary person?
Right. And where is the place for justice? Previously, the institution the opposition figures would be running to one of them is the Uganda Human Rights Commission. But from the previous altercations, looks like the National Unity Platform has failed to agree with the Uganda Human Rights Commission on what to do. Here is a clip recorded as of 20th May 2024 on the two seemingly not agreeing.
It is more than 5 years ago, Madam Chair, and as all of us know, justice delayed is justice denied. Madam Chairperson and members, this commission, which is empowered by the Constitution to protect constitutional rights, is instead the one violating those rights. I mean, Madam Chair, in all fairness, how can a complaint regarding...
If that is the personal statement you're making, you are not going any further.
Madam Chair, with this attitude...
You have to speak through your lawyers.
But you gave me a chance to speak, Madam Chair. You did not tell me what to say.
To accuse this commission of violating human rights.
Madam Chair,
you cannot speak any further.
You yourself, Madam Chair, came out and mocked the victims of the missing people. And with this attitude, Madam Chair, and I hereby withdraw my complaint to this commission, because this commission lacks the impartiality, it lacks the independence to hear this case, Madam Chair. It is all right, but at least it is before the world, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's all right. Most obliged. I will leave this commission. Sure, I will. I will leave, Madam Chair. But it's clear that I've withdrawn my statement because clearly you are impartial and you lack the independence to handle this. This commission is on a test to decide whether it is serving the people of Uganda. Remember, Madam Chair, this is supposed to be the Uganda Human Rights Commission, and I wanted to go on record telling you this. Thank you.
I'm not allowing you.
The world heard you, Madam Chair.
Prof, that's, of course, Robert Chagulanyi accusing the Uganda Human Rights Commission of lacking impartiality to handle some of their complaints. Where is the place for justice?
Interesting question. Listen, the Human Rights Commission themselves actually made a report in lieu of what they call the African report on torture and rehabilitation. And they actually said that 144 individuals had actually been brutally abused by the police. And they said 110 journalists, the likes of Henry and my brother here, were actually brutally, abused by the police. The very body that, quote unquote, His Excellency, for lack of a better word, Chagulanyi declined from, moving forward, is the very body that actually made these propositions. But we must contextualize the debate in which perhaps the occurrence happened. Maybe at this particular material time, when Bobby Wine was actually trying to make his presentation before the commission, he suspected, malafide or bad faith for that purpose. And therefore, he found it unfitting for him to pursue the matter in that context. But I would argue that the Human Rights Commission is one of the places that, is of course on top of the Constitution, by virtue of constitutional petitions and the likes, where redress can actually be found in terms of giving amenities to the situation that we have at present.
Honorable Karhanga, is it possible that we enter into a new election cycle with an assumption that we've learned from our past mistakes as a country? And is it possible that political actors like you and your colleagues can be able to do something? Is there an alternative for you to put an end to police brutality, or you're stuck?
I think the probably only way we can deal with police brutality is by taking this to public court. The Ugandans need to come up and engage on this particular matter. I mean, if you check the records and see how many people have died, how many people have lost limbs,